back and we've unfolded our chairs because we're gonna flatten FlatOut 2. This is from Bugbear Entertainment using the ROMU engine. This is a PlayStation 2 game that was ported to the personal computer running Windows, oh wow, this actually got ported using virtual programming once upon a time. But the GOG guys, in an astoundingly sane move, have actually used wine to port this. So I guess given the options, I think we got the better of the two. You can find this at gog.com/game/flatout2. What is it? Experience the drive of your life as you throw yourself around on and off the track, causing fences to shatter, tire walls. They spelled tires in the feminist way.
Yes.
Water tanks and barrels fly across the track into other cars. Enjoy the mayhem while listening to a slamming soundtrack from artists including Rob Zombie, Papa Roach, Fall Out Boy, Nickelback. Well, anyways, this game is facing our chair acquisition. Crazy ass 4-chair metric. 1 chair means shit. 2 chairs means that's meh. 3 chairs means that's pretty good. 4 chairs means Pedro won't shut up for 5 hours as he goes along how this game gave him an erection. And of course, we have our categories
for being erection,
shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So Ven, how do you like your Nickelback?
Preferably dead and not Canadian. Fuck Canada. For that particular, it's like the country that is just like, fuck you with music.
Brian Adams.
The Canadian government has apologized on multiple occasions.
Justin Bieber.
Still, we're talking about how does this make with the working. And now, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. This is more of a QA review, because we only get to touch with the game a little bit. We want to tell you how well this wine porting is working, and we're going to be completely fair, because I'm running it on what they want you to run it on. Ubuntu 1404 LTS, 64 bits, dual 770s, SSDs, excluding controllers, and all that business. His issue. When you first started, you're presented with this menu of configuration goodness. It's like, well, good. I like this. I click on the things, set all the things. It's like, no window mode. Maybe it's in the game or something like that. Boom, fired up. It runs. I was like, no window mode. All right. Close out, restart. It goes directly back into the game. That little configuration menu. Make sure you set your business correctly the first time, or you're going to be digging around or reinstalling the damn thing to get it back. That should be an option, but makes for the working. As far as getting up, I was in the game. I was playing it. I was seeing things. I was hearing things. I'll give it a 3 chairs. J-Man.
Oh, well, I mean, it ran fine from a couple of perspectives. I mean, no crashing on boot, no...
Well, what was it running on?
Oh, this was running on my 64-bit Fedora 20 AMD 1090T Thuban 670 superclock powered box of right next to my right foot. Yeah, so I too noticed the configuration menu only really appears once. And the options within the game itself are rather limited. All the wine dialogue box popped up, which would have been a shock if I weren't expecting this.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things that didn't work. Sound does not work.
That might all be almost add a chair, considering the Nickelback.
We'll get to that. And of course, the controller didn't recognize. I tried this guy over here, and just as a backup, I tried my legitimate Xbox 360 controller. Neither of them worked. I couldn't assign anything, but I'll get to that. But that'll get 3 chairs because at least the game ran. And it ran very well.
So for me, exiting the game would shut down my external monitor. The one on the calculator would still be running just fine, but the external monitor would just poof. Gone. So I had to go in, edit all their bash scripts to remove all the resolution bullshit that they coded in badly. And then the game would actually behave, as in when I closed it, it would leave my monitor alone. Which is what it should do from the beginning. 2 chairs.
All right, that's 2 chairs for Mix with the working. Not a very good start to this. Up next is Shiny and Sounds.
Let's be perfectly honest. This game is from, I believe, 2006 era, right?
Yes,
Yep.
correct.
2006.
And again, this is more of a QA review. I mean, this looks like the game looked like in 2006. Wasn't expecting a lot on that. Not really dinging at anything with that. But it started with a Nickelback song. -1 chair. Seriously, it started with a Nickelback song. Loses another chair. But outside of that, for the back category, it ran fine. Anti-aliasing worked. Didn't have an issue with that. It looked decent. If you muted everything, you didn't have to deal with that. Just put on some Slayer. The sound worked over here in 1404 land with no issues whatsoever. It's just that soundtrack. It was just like brought me back to some. I would be surprised if the team that developed Road Rash for the 3DO and the Sega CD didn't work on this game. Just for that business, I'm going to give it 2 chairs.
Yeah, so when I started up the game and it was showing the, I was trying to figure out why the sound wasn't working, I peeked up at the game and I noticed there was a song by Nickelback. And all of a sudden, I was relieved that the sound didn't work. So I was spared that.
So sorry.
Oh man, that band gives me cancer. Well, good thing I have Canadian Universal Healthcare to treat it though, so I can listen to more Nickelback. But anyways, in terms of graphics, yeah, the game looks fine. It's actually, for a game from 2006, it's actually aged relatively well.
Yeah, it looks decent.
Yeah, it's not horrifically dated or anything, which is good. Yeah, I cranked everything up to 11 on the 670, and it basically handled it without any issue. So for that regard, good on GOG for getting that all sorted out with, all that wine effort. But regardless, no sound. I can't even rate half of it, so it gets half a score. 2 chairs.
Yeah, for me, I did get sound, but it was constantly popping, and every now and again, I'd get a buffer underrun. And if you've used ALSA with Pulse, with the ALSA Pulse plugin, you know exactly what a buffer underrun sounds like, because the sound starts crapping all over itself. It goes...
Drop the bass!
Yeah, it's horrible. I managed to fix it by deleting the winealsa.drv.so in their wine version, their wrapped wine version. I deleted that and just created a symlink for it that would link to my own systems, the winepulse.drv.so. And then it was just using it was just using Pulse. It wasn't using the also Pulse plugin, so it didn't cause any more underruns. So I managed to get that fixed, but I had to do that. That's dinging in a share right there. Then they spent most of their audio budget on licensing songs, and that results in the game having like 10 different songs. That or they all sound extremely similar.
Fallout Boy, Papa Roach, and Wolf
yeah, they all sound the same. Although I will, I'll give it 2 chairs because the graphics are pretty good and the game still runs great on my calculator with double anti-aliasing and 8 times anisotropic filtering. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, for a game. Keep in mind, though, this is a game that was supposed to run on the PlayStation 2, a system with 256 megabytes of RAM.
So the emotion engine must have been the soundtrack.
Yes. So that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Control. Then, did you feel like you were in control this entire time?
Oh, man. Check this business out. Like I said, we're doing the QA, I'm slowly moving things around, so... Okay. X-Clone controller, which we've all established, that is something that fell off the back of the truck. That is really an Xbox controller. The first time I started it, no issue. Well, big issue, because it didn't work. you had to manually go in and assign the controls.
Yep.
With a controller. I mean, there's no hint or anything like that. That's just something you have to figure out yourself, which really sucked. But after I did that, it worked, kind of. There was even a point where I started the game and I had menu support with the controller. Another brilliant thing. What wasn't brilliant is I could not assign start or enter to the controller, so there's no sit-back experience with this. Fuck you, that's why. You can sit directly and play it with a controller and hit enter. I mean, it's like partial controller support, or whatever you want to call it. But when I said that time I started it, because if you keep starting it and playing it over, sometimes you start up and it just pulls to the left. Why? Don't know. You restart it. I eventually noped out when I realized that somehow something borked. And my automatic, because, I'm not playing manual unless I have that set up. If I'm doing a controller, I'm playing automatic. It went into manual. What the holy fuck is going on? Made it unplayable. I can't give it 0 because I guess maybe if you're just a pure sociopath and you want to play this saying, okay, well, it works perfectly fine with a keyboard, and I'm sure there's billions of people out there that are going to say, well, it didn't. I'm running it on the base fucking test system it's supposed to work on. So
Yep.
I get to throw the chair at it, and that chair's won. J-Man.
Yeah, so as I brought up during mix with the working, neither of my controllers, the fake Xbox controller and the legit Xbox controller, worked. So I was stuck being an elitist playing it on a keyboard, and dear lord, keyboard control sucks. It's very simplistic. You press the forward button to go forward, the left button to go left, the right button to go right, and the back button to back up. It's super complicated.
But it's kind of like a platformer. You don't want to play a platformer with a keyboard.
Yeah, no, I mean, really, this game requires a controller. Most racing games require either a wheel or a controller because the experience just doesn't translate to keyboard and mouse. It just doesn't. Yeah. And yeah, the keyboard controls handle like ass. If I were playing this with a controller, I'd probably do marginally better than how I was doing with the keyboard. Certainly because trying to steer with a keyboard is just awful. Could barely play it like that, so I'm gonna give it 1 chair.
Well, my PS2 DualShock controller doesn't seem to do anything other than causing the car to constantly be turning right if I set the options to use the controller. I don't know why. I could set it up just fine. It was actually recognizing the inputs. So I literally have no idea what the fuck was up, but it was either always turning right or not doing anything at all. So I guess I'm going to give it 2 chairs because the keyboard works fine and rebinding it actually sticks, unlike it did with the first FlatOut.
Bonus soda.
So good on them for that, but it's only 2 chairs for the controls. You done goofed.
All right, and that's 1 chair for controls. And finally, fun. Ben, did you enjoy yourself through this little escapade of whiny goodness?
This is something that I'm so desperate for racing games, and, we're looking forward to your hate mail of, hey, you're just hating on it because it runs wide and
No, we're hitting on it because it runs like ass.
There you go.
Yep.
I mean, we're saying what it does on the tin. The game wants to be fun. There just seems like there's this abstraction layer between me and the fun. I don't know what it is. What I could get to work, I'll say this. Installing it was not at all an issue. You download it, you untar it, you click on it, it puts up in your face organ, here's your configuration. I mean, everything good old games could possibly mothering do, they did right. They did.
Not really.
Well, you shut the fuck up until it's your turn. For me, then you end up with the underlying technology, which is, running something from 2006, the X9, with wine, so you're going to run into the nightmare issues, which we've always said that's going to be a problem. But I like the effort. I think it almost works out of the box. If you scroll back in chat, Pizza Dude is like, well, you know, you can configure this if you do it from CLI. That's not what GOG is selling you. GOG is selling you a one-click install, boom, there's your game right there in your face organ without any of the whiny mess. But they also offer, which I say is brilliant for GOG, a money-back guarantee. Double kudos for that. Fun
And support.
Now,
Actual support.
when I could get the controller to work right, and I just muted the sounds because I didn't want surprise Nickelback in my ear pussies. I'm gonna give this a 2 chairs. Middle of the road score for a middle of the road game that is almost as old as your mom, J-Man.
I just thought that surprise Nickelback would make a good show title, so I'm running that. Anyways. Well, fuck you, Ben. So I was actually a big fan of Burnout on the PlayStation 2. I enjoyed that game. And this seems like it was trying very, very hard to be that. You race, you destroy stuff. But where it failed on a couple reasons. It failed because it really lacks the charm of Burnout and sort of the balls to the walls insanity. The wine bottle controller support is flaky. It just doesn't work.
Oh, I forgot to mention challenge racing.
I'll get to challenge. I'll get to challenge pissing. That. Okay. Yeah, no, but it didn't work with this guy, and if it's not working with an Xbox 360 controller, you're doing it wrong. X input is more or less the standard that games are using these days. You should at least QA your game with that in mind. Also, Nickelback? Seriously? What the fuck is wrong with you people? I mean, I get it was 2006. This was...
You can't blame GOG for that, though.
I can't blame GOG for that. I can entirely blame FlatOut 2 for their awful fucking music choices. So, like I said, this game desperately needs a controller. I might have enjoyed it if I had working controller support, but playing this on a keyboard is just an exercise in futility and frustration, and I'm not a fan. So I'm gonna give this 1 chair. The potential's there, and it fails to live up to it, which I feel makes it worse than if it just outright failed.
Yeah, I was originally going to give this 3 chairs, but I have since revised my score because the game is alright. I did enjoy it, but I can't give it 3 chairs with the amount of BS I had to do on my own to get the game running properly and making it stop shutting down my external monitor.
Come on, you have a problem with XR?
You posted a job offering asking for people who knew Bash scripting, Wine, and DOSBox. Did you not get any applications? Did someone forge their credentials? What the fuck? It gets 2 chairs because it's good, but it's not good enough for anything higher than that.
You're saying it doesn't run out of the box.
No, well, it runs out of the box, sort of, but it fucks up everything.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah,
It'll run
a lot.
It'll run. Oh, it'll run. So that makes that winds it up to 1 chair for fun, and if we tally all these up and average them out, we get 1 chair game of Seizure-tastic. So, gentlemen, any final thoughts, hints, allegations, things better left unsaid?
I like what they're doing. I mean, this comes along with, you know, we have Strider in chat, and apparently he probably has a better system than GOG.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tempted to download that and give it a go. What GOG wants you to think, what they want to do, maybe they'll get around to it on the tin. Like I said, now PSA earlier, try before you buy. And it's just a chainsaw nest of nope when you run into multiple distros. And it kind of saddens me a bit, because that's the reason I set up the 1404 LTS Ubuntu. Only box in this house is running Ubuntu. because it's the fuck you're doing it wrong box, because that's what everyone's like, well, this is what we base it on and it should work. It didn't. Not right. Not correctly. I'm sorry, brother. I wouldn't pick this particular title up. We love wine. Actually, we kind of love GOG, because GOG gave us that big fuck you a couple of years ago, and we're like, we're announcing this new operating system we're going to support, and it wasn't Linux. At least they're making an effort. They maybe stick with some DOS. Well, they are using a busted DOS box.
Yeah,
They are.
I'm not helping anything out. J-Man, go ahead.
All right, yeah. They should really review what they're using to actually bottle these games up, because if you're gonna ship a prepackaged environment with like DOSBox or wine,
Nobody
should
does public beta test, man.
Nobody does public beta
no,
test.
virtual programming laid the law down right there. They know these.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Ones who know it.
But yeah, this game could have been better. Really, all more effort need to be put into ripping the soundtrack out of this game and replacing it with like fucking Pokemon the movie soundtrack, because I'd rather listen to that than Nickelback. And just making sure that everything works cross distro. If you're going to be saying we support Linux now, Linux is an ecosystem. You have to take that into account. As much as Canonical would like to pretend that Ubuntu is the only distribution out there, it isn't, and you're going to run into these issues, and you should at least try to account for them.
Well, you're running a very obscure distro.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? Like the fourth most used distro on DistroWatch. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because the game in itself, except for the stunts, the game is actually kind of fun. The stunts are absolutely fucking hideous. Stay the fuck away from them.
Challenge.
Except for the curling one. Apparently, the curling one, Jordan says, is pretty fun. So yeah.
No, I just like watching men fly out of windshields to their death as they go ragdoll and fall onto a giant block of ice.
But yeah, the rest of the game, if you like racing games, the rally type destruction derby thing, if it comes on like a $2, $1 sale, and you don't mind fixing GOG's wine for them,
or
sure,
playing with
go
the
ahead
keyboard
and pick it up.
exclusively.
Yeah. If fixing wine bullshit and it's seriously, if you're one of those people that's just trying to play a game and cannot do it, stay the fuck away. Really.